constant, but it's not the same. It's always evolving, right? So in Ayurveda, this old science in India. They say it's about 6,000 years or so, but it's longer, it's older than that. It's a very simple science that was practiced all over the world. They didn't necessarily call it Ayurveda, but Ayurveda is the Sanskrit translation for the science of self-healing. So in Ayurveda, we look at a snapshot of the sky when you were born to see which planets are around there and what are you getting in the wake of those planets moving, and that's going to become your physical matter. If you have a lot of Mars, for example, how do you think your personality will be?
Strong, energetic, pitta-like.
Yes?
Yeah.
So anything that's energetic, transformative, fiery, we call pitta. And pitta resides in the ability to digest your food, the function of your liver, your gallbladder, your small intestine, your stomach. But it also is the ability to digest your experiences. So like you can have indigestion from eating something, you can have indigestion from your emotions, you can have emotional indigestion, and they go hand in hand. Nobody ever has a digestive issue without a psychological and emotional issue as well. So if your body is not metabolizing, not balancing itself correctly, the first thing we have to change and the first thing that we have to bring into consideration is what is happening in the personality of the person. How are they thinking? How are they putting themselves into nature and becoming one or going against nature? Because nature doesn't care that we're sad or happy. It's just going to do the stuff that it has to do. So it has seasons. Likewise, we have seasons of the mind. We have seasons of the body. We have seasons of the spirit. We have season of the soul. Everything in the Bible, it says to everything there's a time and season. So in Ayurveda, we're looking at this time and the season that you are in. We could be in our youth, we could be in the prime of our life, we could be in our maturity, we could be grown in the physical body, but we could be infantile in the mind. So we could have many kinds of seasons that are going on simultaneously. So learning to identify this, we look at the first three things that are called Vata, Pitta, and Kapha. So the Vata, it's not V-A-T-A, Vata, but in America we call it Vata because it's difficult for some people to end at the T sound like that. So Vata is the movement of anything in your body. We call it the ether and the air. What is the ether? Who knows what the ether is?
I think atmosphere.
Okay,
The
what else
pure
can it
potential.
be? The pure potential. What do we mean by pure potential is we call it God. We say God is a he. Why is it not a she? That was the biggest question for me growing up in Catholic school. I was like, how do you know about the genitalia of God? How do you know it's a he and not a she? But the nuns didn't have an answer for me until I studied Ayurveda, and they said, okay, we look at it like this, that everything has a potential. You could be a baby, you could be a young person, you have the potential to be whatever you want to be. But to come into being, to be, you need matter, physical matter. So this pure potential, this God particle, what you want to call it, is what comes together to create matter. Now no light can go through it, you see? So ether is the building block of everything. The pure potential has to have, potential means it needs to have a thought or a requirement to become something. Therefore, there has to be the Brahmanad, there has to be the consciousness of the pure potential to want to become something, to create something. So this first potential we can call God, we call it he, because if we look at men and women, a woman can give an egg to a man and he can mix it with his sperm, put it anywhere in his body, nothing is coming out of it, nothing, nada. But he has the potential, if he were to give his sperm to the egg, it could make a whole tribe come out of it. So everything that comes out of this potential is considered feminine, whether it's the tree, the earth, you, me, men, women, everybody, children are all considered as the feminine. Everything, the atom to the everything, or the Adam to the Eve, however you want to look at it. So this pure potential exists in all of us. Therefore, many texts tell us that we are created in the likeness of the divine, meaning we have this potential. And when this potential has reached its fulfillment, we leave this plane of existence and transform. So this transformative process is also change. So therefore we call it vata, because vata is unstable. It's always changing, just like the air. So ether and air, you can tell the air, oh, I need you to blow only in this direction for 5 minutes. And then I need you to move from this direction for 10 minutes. The air doesn't care. Okay, the air is going to come and go. It's never the same. So ether and air, ether is represented by your thumb. All the nerves of your thumb, they go to your pineal body in your brain, and they stimulate that procreation. That's why we say good job like this. We never say good job like this or like this or like this or any other way. This is a good job. This is a pure potential. We baptize with this. We say, we put tilak with this in the Vedic system. And then we have the other aspect of ether is air. This is air. Go here. Don't do that. Stop doing this. Direction. Okay? This is connected directly to the pituitary gland. Pituitary gland is our master gland, and it creates all your endorphins. It creates a function for stability in your body. Therefore, if I can control the air, how can I control the air? Any engineers here that can tell me how we can control air? You have to put it into a compressor. You get a regular PSI. Yes? It needs order. It needs containment. That's the only time that air can give you a regularity. Therefore, in Ayurveda, we practice Kapalbhati, Pranayama, because this is a movement of air, because we have 3 diaphragms, one over here, one over here, and one over here. And then we have 2 on the palms, and we have 2 on the feet. This is called Pada Bandha. This is called Hasta Bandha. This is called Mula Bandha. This is called Udiyana Bandha, and this is called Jalandhara Bandha. Now, none of these 3 bandhas work without these 2 bandhas. But nobody talks about them. Okay? So therefore, when I want to bind my mind, bandha is to bind. I want to bind my mind, I bring my ether and my air together. Now I've calmed it down. Okay? Now I am containing the movement of my mind. Now it's in a compressor. It's going to give me a regular PSI. I can calm my mind down. This is why when we do yoga asana, we're meditating, we're like, calm down. Right? So all mudras that we have, all yoga that we have is based on this whole movement. So there's that vata, ether and air. And vata resides in your colon, but in anything that moves, your mind, your thoughts. Can you see your mind? Where does your mind exist? There's no one location for your mind. It's everywhere. Is it visible? It's not visible, right? Is it stable? It's not stable. So by nature, you know that my mind therefore must be vata in nature. It must be the nature of my mind to change. But if I can direct this change into a patterning, then I have this ability to calm myself down and have stability. Because the opposite of stability is changeability. So if I want to live a long life, I need to be able to be the boss of my breath. If I'm the boss of my breath, I am automatically the boss of my mind. If I'm the boss of my mind, I'm automatically the boss of my routine. If I am the boss of my routine, I am the boss of health. Okay? So I can control, I use my years, my life on the planet. Everybody has a certain number of breaths they are given at time of birth. We are not given certain amount of years. We're given certain amount of breath. And when you take that last breath, you are done. Because that's ayus. So you can say, oh, I'm 20 years old, therefore I'm young. I'm 90 years old, therefore I am old. It depends on the quality of your breath at 20 or 90 or any time. If you have an irregular short breath, you have irregular short life. How do we have a short life and short breath? We get mad and we breathe like, we hyperventilate, we take short breaths. We hold our belly in like this and we are stressed out. Our anus is clenched, the belly is clenched, the chest is clenched, the fists are clenched, the jaw is clenched. That's a recipe for short life. So we must be like the wind that is allowed to come and go. It's allowed to go through the whole body. So when you breathe, you want it to flow through the body as gently as possible. So a lot of yoga classes teach you to do Ujjayi breath. Ujjayi means victorious breath. If you were in a hand-to-hand combat with somebody and you won, what is the first thing you do? Long breath, right? You won't go ho, 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 ho this way. That would be you fighting, getting ready for a fight. So again, there's a misconception that when you do Ujjayi breath, everybody should hear your victory. Ujjayi breath is a sigh in and a sigh out. When you breathe into the back of your palate, you're making at that time nitric oxide that dilates all your vessels. When you dilate all your vessels, your whole body calms down. It prevents you from having a heart attack. It relaxes the 10th cranial nerve that's attached to the diaphragm over here and allows the whole body to come into a state of balance. So Vata is very important for us to have longevity, to have the ability to change. So Vata cannot be good or bad. Everything depends on how you use it. A Vata person by nature is irregular to look at. They either have very long necks, they're very short, they're very tall, but this is in the physical body. They may have big shoulders, small hips. They may have one nostril big, one eye small. Something is irregular in the body. So you know this person is born with a little bit extra changeability. This person therefore has more capacity to be spiritual, because they are closer to the ether, to the pure potential. They might be clairvoyant, they might be able to understand things before they have manifested. So there are a great many things that we might call mental instability. Mental instability is also Vata on the other end of it. So when your heart is broken, you will have grief. When you have grief, you can have mental instability. So Vata can go both ways. Therefore, practicing spirituality, surrender, transforming your fear into faith is one of the ways to balance your Vata. Everybody has Vata, Pitta, Kapha for their own condition in this life. So spending time alone itself balances Vata. Spending time in nature balances Vata. Listening to music that has a regular beat balances Vata. If you were listening to something that was just very short and quick, you would imbalance your Vata. Therefore, the hymns in churches traditionally, the mantras in temples traditionally, would be slow and long and sweet, because all sound that comes out of your body comes on the out breath. The out breath is regulating your resting heart rate, which we call systolic blood pressure. Your inhale is regulating your diastolic your diastolic is your out breath, your systolic is your in breath. So this is why pranayama, slow yoga, is very important. Now, the other thing about yoga asana is there has to be stability in it. Hasta bandha, pada bandha. If there's hyperextension in your joints, if you're constantly moving through the poses, there's no sthira sukham asanam. That is the cardinal rule of yoga. Sthira sukham asana means strength and ease in the pose. If there's no ease, your movements are going to cause dis-ease. Therefore, you will have all kind of diseases of Vata, degeneration, digestive, mental, psychological, because you're just moving through the poses without any consideration for your body. So a lot in life has been geared towards grooming us to unstabilize, destabilize Vata. We are very profitable to the industry when your Vata is imbalanced.
Definitely.
You're a money maker for somebody. So you must find a container for stability of, what was that noise? Oh. It's like, didn't sound like nature. You must stabilize your vata. You must have a container for it so that it can serve you, just like you put your air into, like you're flying in the air, you are literally going into vata. But you can stay in the air safely and stably if you have a turbine that is going to regulate the PSI, the amount of air it sucks in, and regulates so that you can stay instead of going up and down in the airplane. Everything that we want to do. So vata is good, it's not bad. It can be bad if you don't make it good. So we must have a spiritual practice. We must come from a space of spirituality so that we can do the best. We can open the mind to the ether, to the pure potential to guide us. That requires silence. The time for that silence, the best time is Brahma Muhurta, the time we went up to the hill to find the quietness. The air is much thinner there, the pollution is less up there, we can hope. But there's that time, the sandhi, that joined between darkness and light, where every particle is available to you as pure potential to make what you want. Therefore, instead of it going to a fruit and you eating the fruit and then digesting it and then making an enzyme or a vitamin or a mineral, it's available to you. Just go breathe it in. This is called pranayama. That's a prana. You're bringing it in. Yama is that act of transformation. Okay? So, pranayama and yoga are generally done at the crack of dawn. Nobody really does it after that. But okay, now we are in the business of life and living. We need to have certain times where we try to organize these times when the body is not stressed. We try to do it in between the digestive times so that your body can have better vata, better balance. So vata is very important, and that brings us to the next part of vata, which is it lives in the colon. If you have a lot of flatulence, if there's a lot of movement downwards, due to any kind of activity, due to constipation, due to diarrhea, then you are going to have an imbalanced mind. Because this is called Mooladhara chakra, this is Moola Bandha at the bottom, it needs to be stable. So in Ayurveda, one of the first things we do is we try to stabilize your digestive system, your elimination, your eating. And these are all the simple things that we have control over. When do I eat? What do I eat? How do I eat? We never consider how do I eat. Eating is the most sacred act because you are now the alchemist of the cosmos. You are deconstructing whatever has grown in nature and reconstructing it as your body. You are now God in manifestation. You are transforming your food. You need to be stable. You need to be sitting there in one place and eating your food and tasting it without distraction to the eyes, without movement, without walking on your treadmill and eating breakfast, without driving in the car and drinking your milkshake or your fruit protein shake. Because does nature make a protein shake anywhere? Never makes a cucumber growing with a papaya or a banana. It's our ignorance that we want to take all of this and make it vata, unstable, undigestible. It doesn't grow in nature like that. So it's our ignorance. So the first cause of disease in Ayurveda is ignorance of the intelligence. Prajna aparada. We have forgotten how it is to live in nature. Therefore, today at this retreat, we wanted to be in nature. We want to simplify our life. We want to not have an agenda and say, okay, at this time we're going to do this, that, and the other. We want to learn how to flow into it and flow out of it. That's good vata for you. Good elimination means good nervous system, means good choices, means the ability to pivot and change. Oh, I used to make bad choices, but you know what? I can make different choices. I can do something different. So vata is very special. So when we bring these two fingers, jnana mudra, jnana means knowledge. So we are connecting the source of knowledge to what? Not to your books, but to the ether. You are tuning in. This is your antenna to the cosmos. You are that product that's going to receive. You are the transponder. You are the receiver of this knowledge. You are the keeper of this wisdom. So Jnana Mudra is very important to practice whenever possible. If you get nervous, you can just hold onto the index finger and you'll feel a slight pulsation. And that will ground you. That will stop the vata from going crazy. So you just hold it, put your thumb on the underside like this, and hold the index finger and give it a good squeeze until you can feel a slight pulsation in it, and just relax and pay attention. Now if you're suffocating it and your finger's feeling like it's going to fall off, stop that. You're not ready for transformation as yet. So gentle pressure. So this is a nice way to calm the vata down in your body. A simple way that you can do anywhere where you are. Then coming to pitta. Pitta is the midsection of the body, the pit of your stomach where the acids come. So how do we make acids? Who knows how we make acids? Eating, yes.
The pH of the stomach, the acidity of the stomach.
Okay.
Chewing.
How else can we make? Chewing, yes. Why chewing?
Chewing sends signals to generate the proper enzymes, proper amount of acid.
Every one of your teeth is connected to one organ via the nerves of it, and the saliva from your mouth is made according to what you chew and how you chew it. So that's why chewing also can secrete these things for you. What else? How else can we make acid?
Stress.
Stress.
Yes, emotion.
Emotion. If you get angry, you make a lot of acid in your body. So if you're angry and you're eating, that perfectly good food now is going to kill you.
What we eat too.
What you eat also, based on your body type, also is going to make a certain acid for you. Because you have to break it down before you can digest it. You can insert a lettuce leaf in here and say, okay, now I have whatever nutrition is in this lettuce leaf and it's digested in my body. This is why sometimes I'm very concerned about people who want to go take an IV into their body of vitamin this, that, and the other. They're like, I don't need to eat, I'm too fat. I'm going to get an IV into my blood supply of something. The digestion has to happen in the right process in your stomach. So if your stomach is nervous all the time, it doesn't matter how good you eat, you are going to make a toxic pitta acid that's going to eat your body up. So pitta is represented by the middle finger. This is why universally when we're mad, that's the digit that goes up. Right? So we're all in tune with the cosmos without knowing it. We're all Ayurvedic doctors without knowing it. So pitta is this transformative quality. If I were to say Father, Son, and Holy Spirit, the Holy Spirit would be Vata. Sun, S-U-N, would be Pitta in the solar plexus. And it's transformative. That means I eat food, it transforms it, and it makes something for my body. Likewise, if I think something, it transforms and makes me make a choice, an action, a thought that is changing my personality. So if I want to change something, I have to empower myself. I have to empower myself in several ways. But one of the most important ways is to breathe correctly, to transform everything into something. So again, yoga, pranayama, these are important things for you. But also eating fresh products that are good for you. If you eat a product that's genetically modified, that is very highly processed, your body cannot metabolize it. It's spending a lot of time trying to digest that stuff, so it is more stressed out. It has no time to utilize whatever is metabolized. So eating must be done seasonally, must be done according to your constitution and your ability to digest it. So pitta is very important. Pitta people are very regular shaped. If they get fat, the whole body gets fat. If they lose weight, the whole body loses weight. They're never like this or like this. Pitta people are very astute. They're very clever. They got their ideas, they're very creative, they find the best way to make something work perfectly for them. Hence we did the mandala work to see, okay, where is the mind? Where's the pitta? Where's the vata and where's the kapha? Right? So everything in life will give an indication to where you can improve yourself. So pitta is this transformative process of your thoughts, of your food, of your experiences, because all of life is a battle. It is a transformative battle. How are you going to transform your situation? Are you going to be in this place and say, woe me, why me? Or are you going to get up and do something about it? Are you going to finish the process of grief? And are you going to take charge of the change and give yourself an opportunity to be better than you were yesterday? Are you going to say, oh, I have to blame my X, my Y, and my Z, and limit myself to this? Now that takes a lot of courage to be able to transform something, especially when you feel, I don't have the resources. Resources are also pitta. So what you have is what you're going to use, basically. You're going to learn to use everything as a tool to move ahead and move out of the situation that you are in. Therefore, you must have some composure, some organization of the mind. Pitta people are very organized. If you give them a job, they're like on it. They'll get the best of everything and they'll do it and it's perfect. When it's balanced, your digestion is good, your thoughts, your actions, all of these things are good. When pitta gets too much, you become too acidic. Anything ending with an itis means, oh, you got too much pitta. Tendinitis, tonsillitis, gastritis, anything itis related means you are burning up your body, you're consuming yourself. When pitta is imbalanced, we become manipulative. We begin to lie, we begin to use other people, we begin to blame other people, it's never our fault. We begin to shy away from confrontation. We're not willing to represent ourselves and say, this is how I felt. And this was not what I wanted to happen. This was not my intention, rather than just try to placate everything and say, no, it's all right. I'm just going to go into the background and disappear. So pitta gives you the ability to transform your emotions. And until you transform it and let it out and process it, it is going to go inward and damage everything inside of you. So we must sometimes look at the hard stuff in life, and we must give ourselves permission to process it, however long it takes for us. There's no one timeline for anything, but there is a necessity for us to process everything to have good pitta. And pitta resides here. Pitta is pumping your blood through your body, through your muscles, all of these kind of. Your liver is very important for having a healthy recovery from whatever incidents you have experienced in life, of having a healthy body. And pitta is a fire. If you have a fire, what is required to have a fire?
Fuel.
Fuel.
Air.
Air, oxygen. Because if you try to light a fire in a vacuum, do you think anything's going to happen? So you need something to burn. Right? What are you going to give yourself to burn? What is your primary fuel? So your primary fuel can be your food, of course. It can be your environment, of course. It can be your thought process, of course. And it can be the way you breathe, because air feeds fire. So if this is not working, digestive system, large intestine is not working, guess what happens? Digestion is not working either. The fire is going to have up and down or be put out altogether. So there's no processing going. You're emotionally stunted. Digestive fire is out. The will to live or to make decisions for yourself is out. You just quit on life. That's a pitta imbalance.
I thought that would be vata.
It will be vata as well, because vata is fear.
Regular.
It is an irregular fire. Like that, if I have a candle, for example, and I blow it, what's going to happen? My fire's out, because my vata is more than my fire. Okay? But if I'm cooking in my kitchen and my food is burning, what am I going to do?
Put water on it.
Turn off the heat.
I'm going to
Turn
turn
it.
off the heat
Yeah.
first.
Yeah.
I'm going to turn the heat down, the pitta down. Because the gas is too high, the air is too much. I have a knob that's going to literally turn down the heat by limiting the amount of gas coming through. Now, if I'm busy and I don't smell that burning, my ether's out of whack, I can't smell, and my house, my kitchen is on fire, now what am I going to do?
Fire extinguisher.
You're right.
Fire extinguisher if you have the right kind and the time.
ABC.
And it's not out of date.
And if you don't have a fire extinguisher, you're going to call somebody to put that fire out with what? Water and earth. They'll put a foam or something. Stop, drop, and roll. Want to put a blanket on somebody, whatever. That putting out of this fire because of an imbalance of air, ether, and fire is called kapha. Kapha is the earth and the water. That's our physical body. Therefore, like a campfire, we need the fire in the middle, but we need a boundary. We need enough air. We need enough fuel to burn. That makes a perfect fire, and then we need somebody to observe it and watch it. If you are not watching your vata, pitta, and kapha, guess what?
Out of control.
You're out of control. You're on fire. Not in a good way. Right? So you have to have self-observation. You have to have the resilience and the ability to make choices and change your mind. Not be afraid and say, woe me, why me? You have to get up and fight the good fight. In the Bhagavad Gita, Arjuna is the warrior and his charioteer is Lord Krishna. And he's holding the reins, the 5 reins of the 5 horses. And Arjuna's like, oh, I don't want to fight. These are my family people. I'm a peaceful person. I don't want to do this battle. And Lord Krishna says, Arjuna, get up and fight this war. This is your dharma. You're born as a warrior. You have to fight this war. Okay, we're talking about a peaceful now, non-violent nation telling Arjuna to fight a war. He's fighting against the conditioning, really. Arjuna is your soul. Lord Krishna is the mind, governed by the moon. The 5 horses are the 5 senses. Your 5 senses have to be in control of your mind, and your soul is here to grow from the past experiences of the family that you came from. You have to do one better than the family you were born in. You are responsible for changing the patterning, and sometimes we're not aware. I have picked up the same. Mom, dad are angry, they're drinking and fighting with each other. I promise I'll never do that. We get married and then we get mad and we go drink and fight and do the same thing. Like, I hate my mother, but I've become my mother. I hate my father, but I've become my father. It's a patterning that we're repeating. That's your Arjuna. Get up, Arjuna. It's your dharma, your karmic duty to fight this war. You are having this conversation with Krishna, with the mind. There is no war outside of you, believe me. If we can manipulate the mind, then you assume that you're at war with everybody else. We must learn to fight the righteous war at the right time for the right reasons. But if your mind is not working, your pitta is not working, you will not make the right choices. You will self-harm like a scorpion, you'll sting yourself. Why? The sign of Scorpio is governed by Mars. Mars is your physical body. You'll self-harm yourself because you have lost your intelligence. Prajna parada. You'll eat the wrong things, drink the wrong things, do the wrong things. You'll make bad choices. So coming to kapha is the container that holds this, the mucosa that lines every intestine, every myelin sheath, every nerve you have has kapha, soft waxy covering. Your brain is completely cholesterol, kapha. Your hormones need kapha, fat to process. You need good fats. In our culture today, they shame us for being a kapha person because a kapha person is curvy and juicy, slow and heavy and steady. they have longevity on their side. They live forever. So naturally, they're not profitable for anybody unless they can be an unstable kapha. So we will pressurize them to saying, oh, your BMI is too much, you're too tall, you're too short, you're too thin, you're too fat. Create instability of the mind. Because if I have an earthquake, that's like vata pushing kapha. Right?
Yes.
Literally, I can have an earthquake, move a whole mountain and drop it down. Sand dunes in the desert, it can destroy a whole agricultural field by just wiping it out with the movement of air. So air is also very powerful. Water is also very powerful. Earth and water, these two, earth and water are your kapha. So we must have time for stability. We must have time for love, because all emotions flow like water. Because pitta is your endocrine system, but it's not just fire, it's fire and water. Within your anger is a great amount of love. Within your turmoil is a great amount of potential to reshape you. Water has no resistance. Even if it's coming one drop at a time, it's going to do its damage. It's going to find its level. So call upon the 5 elements, the ether, the air, the fire, the water, and the earth. And kapha resides primarily in your lungs. This is the source of sadness. Whenever you have asthma, you have a cough coming on, it is because something in there hasn't been taken care of. So like we have the vata, pitta, kapha body types, we have the vata, pitta, kapha seasons as well. And the seasons are very, very important for us because nature is changing. When would be the vata season, the pitta season, and the kapha season in your mind?
Vata, winds, fall.
Because it's dry, everything is getting light, dry, crispy, crunchy, cold, and airy. It's like
Pitta.
now.
Summer.
Pitta would be summer, yes, everything is hot.
And spring for
Kapha, everything is wet and moist and coming to life again.
And winter?
Winter would also fall into the category of kapha and vata, both of these, because it's dry. So your skin gets dry, you'll notice in winter sometimes. It's cold. Anything that's cold, light, dry, crispy, crunchy, cold, and airy is vata. So cold would be vata. So if we don't take care of our bodies according to the seasons, we will overflow into the next season and we'll have an allergy coming out in spring. All of that solid stuff is going to melt and come out as some runny stuff. So as we're going into the fall season, from fall into winter, we don't have much of a season change in Texas. But we still have to prepare the body. In Ayurveda, we like to use ghee. Ghee is clarified butter. It's your omega-3 and omega-12 fatty acids, vitamin D, vitamin E, vitamin A, and vitamin K2. We want this to build the pre-probiotics. We want this to keep a stable mind. We want this to line our myelin sheath. We want this for good sexual function. We want this for a neural transmission. We want to make good hormones. We need this. Fat is not your enemy. It's the kind of fat that you eat and the process of that fat. Ghee can never spoil. Honey and ghee are two things that last a lifetime. As long as you don't put a wet spoon in either one of these, it's going to last forever. So when you're going into the fall season, I would encourage you to cook your food with ghee. The only thing we don't cook with ghee is, anybody knows? Fish. Because fish is very heating. We don't want to combine the two things. They are not compatible with each other. So if you go to Papa Do's or somewhere like this, they serve you lobster with butter. Tasty poison. You're dipping your lobster in butter and eating it as fish with ghee. Clarified butter is when you cook butter and all the solids are removed, so that's when it can last forever, right? So the day you eat fish, cook it if you want in coconut oil, because coconut oil is great for the winter. It lubricates your body. Fish is heating, so winter time is good. You can eat fish. Just don't eat a cheesecake with it or drink milk with it after that, because we don't combine milk and fish together. So these are simple choices of the chemistry. Again, you're using your intelligence. You're not going blindly by your taste. Oh, it's sweet poison, so I'm going to fall for it. And of course, if you want more information, you can definitely come to consultation and we can see for your personal body type what we can recommend for you. It's pretty easy to follow these things. But for the winter season, you want to definitely have more moist, heavy, unctuous, warming stuff in your body. If you're a kapha person, you need a little heat. You need a little bit of cayenne pepper. You need a little bit of cumin seed in your food. You need to have black pepper. All of these kind of things are great for you, especially in the winter season. White pepper, or what we call Lindy pepper, long pepper, is much better than black pepper. Black pepper is sweet post-digestively, so you can use black pepper the rest of the year, but in the winter you want to use the white pepper or the long pepper. And all of these are available for nothing, close to nothing at the Indian stores. So you can always buy this. And your tongue has all of these taste buds on it that are responding and making chemicals, not just to digest your food, but to make your body. So your food, like your life, should be very tasty, should be very colorful, should be very satisfying, and should leave you feeling abundantly blessed. If you're hungry all the time, you're missing out on kapha, the joy of life. You have an emptiness in you, emotionally, physically, psychologically. So spend your money on good things. Money itself is kapha. An attitude of abundance is worth more than anything you can store in a bank. And an attitude of abundance is called gratitude. It's the highest form of love. Nature doesn't know anything but to give you more of the things that you want. So we must practice the pause, the abundance, the gratitude. We must take time to feel the body in the movement of yoga asana, in the movement of daily activities of conjugal bliss, of blissing yourself out. There must be this connection of this joy, not the guilt. Oh, I ate too much. Oh, I did this too much. Oh, I'm breaking this rule. Rules are meant to be broken.
Like we did this morning. You hear that?
Always ask yourself, okay, this is a rule. Am I being safe? And if you're being safe, that's great. I'm not saying get out and just drive a car into oncoming traffic. That is vata.
Yeah.
You need to be pitta in the way that you choose logically your choices. Okay? So you have to give yourself permission in the winter months especially to have a little bit more warming root vegetables. What root vegetables can we have? Because there's an exception here. Sweet potatoes are good. What else? Pumpkin.
Beets, turnips.
Yes, beets, turnips, anything that's a root vegetable. Carrots, they must be cooked. Do not eat raw carrots because your pitta will go sky high. It's got something called keratin in it. It's going to keep cooking it and cooking it and cooking it, and your body will get more and more acid.
Don't eat raw carrots or something?
Never eat raw carrots. But in the winter season, you definitely don't want to eat anything raw. What is the one thing that we eat as Americans a lot raw?
Salad,
Lettuce.
Salad, lettuce, celery.
kale, and all
Kale. Kale is garbage food. Total garbage food. It will deplete your thyroxine completely. You'll have such big mood swings. Do you know the story about kale? And I've told some of you guys of oatmeal and kale. You know the story of how this became our food?
No.
So in the old days, they didn't have cars. They had horse-drawn carts. And if you want to get from point A to point B and transport your goods, you needed strong horses. So they would give their horses oats to eat. Only the rich people could afford this. Their horses would be strong. They would run like crazy. They had a lot of fire because oats have keratin on it that you can digest. It keeps making pitta, adrenaline glands are going. So now these became imbalanced horses and they were very boisterous. They're like, how are we going to control them now? So they gave them kale. Kale is from the brassica family. It binds to the thyroxine and depletes it completely. You're like limp as a wet lettuce leaf. So now there's this up and down between the adrenaline glands and the thyroid. We call this Vishma Agni. You're totally depleted. You feel emotionally drained. You feel physically drained. And people are making smoothies and eating it, and it tastes like garbage, but they still have convinced themselves that it's tasty garbage.
Yeah, that's such a fad to eat kale.
Yeah, it's a fad. That's your cue to know. I'm just like going to jump off this cliff now because everybody else is going that direction.
You know what should be a fad? Rice and beans.
Beans are very high in protein. There are certain beans that are higher in protein than any animal product you can eat. Yes, I know some of us have grown up eating meat and potatoes, and that's fine. But there are a lot of other alternatives that you could introduce to yourself, and you could find out how your food was raised, because how it's raised, how it feels, is exactly how you are going to be raised and how you're going to feel. Because you become your food.
We are what we eat.
You are not what you eat, you are what you digest.
Well, at that point, yeah. If you can digest it.
Grandparents didn't have kale.
They didn't have kale and they ate meat and potatoes and they were fine. They didn't die of coronary artery disease if they were on their farms doing their stuff and they were happy. There's not everything in the past was good, of course.
No, they
Not
didn't
everything
eat
in
all
the
the processed stuff out of boxes, though.
correct. If you buy something in a box, you're just buying your own funeral, preparing for your funeral.
Across the board.
Yeah, you try to. I mean, it's not possible to not eat anything out of a box. For example, pasta. Who has time to make their own pasta? Italian mamas, grandmamas have that, but 90% of us don't have it. So you try to grow your own vegetables, use the stuff that you want. One exception for most of us, at least in this group, is potatoes. Potatoes have solanic acid in it. It will increase your pitta. So in the winter season, if it gets really cold, you can eat it. Otherwise, I don't recommend that for everybody. Yeah. So stick to cooked foods, warm foods. If you want a lot of energy, yes, cook your oatmeal overnight, soak it overnight, cook it. It'll take longer to digest, so it'll give you more. It'll give you more energy. But if you're very vata vitiated means you're dying because you're empty inside. You're like the wind is passing through you, the life is passing through you. At that time, you must eat something that stops that wind. That's the time we will say go eat oatmeal if you're vegetarian. Go eat meat if you're not a vegetarian. Because it will rot in your gut, creating a dam for that air that's going to deplete you. Right? So seasonally also the same food can be poison and the same food can be elixir for you. How are you going to know all of these things, right? You've never heard about what Ayurveda is. Or if you think Ayurveda is me taking a quiz and saying, oh, I checked this box, I'm Vata, I'm Pitta, I'm Kapha. That's another way to dilute this information and make it a lie. Because can that sheet look at your eyes? Can that sheet look at the shape of your ears? Can that sheet look at your nostrils? Can that sheet look at the length and the width of your arms or your wrist or your bones? No, it cannot. But they have taken it and watered down, minimized it and marketed it so you can't tell the difference between what's real and unreal anymore. Divide, rule and confuse. So now we're like, oh, I'm very financially astute. I'm not going to spend money going to see a real Ayurvedic doctor. I'm going to take this quiz on XYZ website. Now I'm going to self-diagnose and, oh, you know what? Ayurveda doesn't work. I made that self-diagnosis. I've declared that this 1,000-year science doesn't work. I'm just going to go and cut my body now, remove this part or reconstitute this part of my body. because that's alternative medicine doesn't work. So I encourage you to spend more time in nature, to do more in your kitchen, to cook for yourself every day. Don't treat yourself like an option. Put a sign on your fridge that says, I am not a trash can. Because once your food cools down in that fridge, it is garbage. It's the most expensive trash can we have. Do not eat, you're not a scavenger, do not eat leftover food. Cook enough for the day. Share the rest. Make time to cook for you. Get yourself an Instant Pot. It's pretty easy. I promise you, in 20 minutes, you can cook for yourself for the whole day and you'll be quite happy. I'll save money to go out on your vacations, come to more retreats like this. But you'll be a lot healthier if you'll invest that time to cook every day for yourself. You're not an option.
I have a pattern of cooking that I like very much, and it sounds like it may not be in my best interest.